Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Razlan and today I will be starting off for my group Volta on our statistical research on distance towards community food pickup methods for our probability and statistic course. Our research will be consisting of the abstract, introduction, methods, the preliminary analysis, the final analysis, recommendations and suggestions, and lastly, our references. Moving on for the abstract. So when we talk about food, some of us prefer to dine in, while some of us prefer to take away and eat whatever we want instead. With how busy people are nowadays in the 21st century, they don't have time to drive to their favorite restaurant to buy a meal and eat elsewhere, and that is when the shrewd mind of humanity thought of delivery services. So before delivery services were only done by the restaurant itself, now there are apps like Foodpanda, GrabFood, Bungkusit, and many more to help small and medium entrepreneurs to join the delivery train. Therefore, our theme for this assignment revolves around the delivery industry in Malaysia. We are intrigued on understanding what makes someone use a delivery as a takeaway channel rather than self-pickup. We speculate that it has to do with the distance between the restaurant and the person ordering the food. Thus, we have set out to examine how people's takeaway methods are affected by numerous elements, such as the distance between a person and the restaurant, the takeaway channel, and the ordering time. So for all of this, a total of 50 individuals responded to our survey out of the 63 respondents we were able to reach. And we constructed two hypotheses to test. That is the first, that people will use meal delivery that are away from the restaurant, and second, that people will self-pick up their food from the restaurant if the distance is closer. And we were able to come to the conclusion that our first hypothesis is not true, while our second hypothesis was true. Now, for the introduction, most industries experience significant losses as a result of the COVID-19 epidemic. For instance, the food and beverage sector relied heavily on the sales of people who came in to eat, drink, and pick up takeout, which caused the majority of these enterprises were affected. Mobile delivery apps were introduced along with mobile technology. Without delivering meals to customers, these businesses could not possibly function. Therefore, the goal of this study is to record the takeaway channel that a person chooses based on how far their restaurant is away from them. The major inquiry in this statistical study is whether a person's takeaway channel is impacted by the distance between them and their restaurant. So thus choosing a takeout channel differ during peak and off-peak hours is a further query for this statistical project. So these are our statistical methods that will be used in our calculation. We will be calculating the mean, the mode, median, variance, standard deviation, and Chebyshev's theorem in order for us to gain the conclusion for both of our hypotheses. From our online survey, this is the data set that we have obtained and have been organized using Google Sheets. And this table will be pronounced as table 4.1. That is the data collected from respondents. And as for all the data, we have made a table. That is table 4.2, where we have put on the frequency distribution for distance between house and the restaurant. So here we have two classes. So there's the short distance, that's for 1 kilometer until 4 kilometers, and the long distance, that is 5 kilometers until 8 kilometers. These are its boundaries and the frequency and also its cumulative frequency. So from this table, we have made a histogram graph to further analyze our data set. And from this graph, we also make another table to further analyze our data set. Both are figure 4.1, the distance between house and restaurant effects on takeaway channel, and table 4.3, takeaway channel for restaurant and distance between house and restaurant.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inshallah, I will continue with statistical method. So as you can see here, self-pickup is blue color while food delivery is red. Self-pickup for 1 until 4 kilometer, the frequency is 27 while food delivery is 10. For 5 until 8 kilometers, self-pickup is 7 and food delivery is 6. Alright, let's go to the calculation. Alright, 1 until 4 kilometers self-pickup, the frequency multiplied by the mid-range of the mid-boundary of the class, divided by the number of samples, so we get 1.82. And next we go to the estimated median. The L, the lower class boundary of the class containing the median, total number N minus B is cumulative frequency, G is frequency of the median class, W is class width. So we get 3.24. Estimated mode, lower class boundary, frequency of the mode minus frequency mode before, over divided by frequency mode minus frequency mode before plus frequency mode minus frequency mode after, and multiply by the width of the class. So we get 2.8, while mid-range, the lower limit plus upper limit divided by 2, so we get 2.5. Variance, so we use this formula and we get 1.27. Standard deviation, use this formula, square root of the variance, so we get 1.13. So coefficient of variation, the formula is standard deviation over mean multiplied by 100, we get here 62.09. Alright, for the Syafiy theorem, the mean is 1.82 while the standard deviation is 1.13. So at least 75% data will be fall between. So we put the in the first formula mean plus 2 multiplied by the standard deviation, we get 4.08, while mean minus 2 multiplied standard deviation, we get negative 0.44. So the mean will be fall between these two standard deviation. Alright, for the other calculation, we use the same method. So I only will discuss about the mean because it used for rejecting or accepting our hypothesis. So for the mean here, for delivery, we get 0.68. And let's go to the 5 at the 8 kilometer self pickup. So the mean for self pickup here is 3.5. And the mean for food delivery 5 at the 8 kilometer, we get 3.00. All right. So for the accepting or rejecting our hypothesis, it will be presented by Syafiy. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Syafiy. So I'll continue with our presentation. So this slide shows the time of order effects on takeaway channel. As you see from the graph, it shows the peak hour and non-peak hour. And as we can see here, peak hour has the highest frequency when it comes to food delivery, and same as non-peak hour. And next, on the right one, you can see the takeaway channel table for restaurant and time of order. This shows the details. And next, we have the graph. The graph shows the relationship of distance between house and restaurant, shows with takeaway channel for restaurant. And this percentage, the red one shows the 5 to 8 kilometer. The blue one is 1 to 4 kilometer. And as we can see here, 1 to 4 kilometer, when it comes to self-pickup, it dominates the most. And on the right, food delivery, as you can see, the blue one, 1 to 4 kilometer, also dominates the most with 62.5%, while the red one shows that longer distance didn't have much percentage. And the final analysis, we discovered that various types of data have linkage or relationship with one another based on the data from online pool. There is a correlation between a person's takeaway channel and the distance of a restaurant. So actually we mostly use the measure of standard tendency such as mean, median, mode, and mid-range. And you can see from the pie chart, and there are histograms that we are used to clarify in understanding our data. And second one, we developed a histogram and conducted an analysis on the distance that we have divided into two categories, short distance and long distance, and their takeout channels respectively. And we discovered that for the longer distance, fewer consumers opted for delivery as compared to self-pickup. And it appears that even after traveling further, the majority still opted for self-pickup as their takeout method. And contrary to our second hypothesis, which is generally accepted, which is person who live closer to a restaurant chose self-pickup when ordering takeout, and those who selected self-pickup for short distance had a mean of 1.82, while those who selected delivery had a mean of 0.68. Thus, people will self-pick up their meal from the restaurant if their distance is shorter, confirming the validity of our hypothesis. Next, recommendations and suggestion. So the goal of this study is to determine whether a person distance from the restaurant has any bearing on takeout channel, and we discovered a negative correlation for our first hypothesis. As for our second hypothesis, and as supported with our own data, we conclude that shorter distance does in fact make people lean towards self-pickup rather than delivery. As a result, we can say that our major research question has been addressed. Distance does affect a person's choice of takeaway channel, but in terms of self-pickup. So to provide individuals more options, more restaurants should be involved in the meal of industry. That is our suggestion. Why? Because only 12% from the data itself shown whose restaurant is located between 5 to 8 kilometers from their home prefer to use food delivery. And according to poll, which found that only 32% of respondents use food delivery as the primary method of ordering takeout. And additional research should be carried out with unique variables and questions in order to establish definite hypotheses that are unaffected by outside influences. For instance, it is possible to rely on big sample size to generate more accurate results. That's all from our group. Last one is the references, and that's all. Thank you.